Voila! And welcome to the Amanda Natanda Show. I'm Amanda and thank you guys for watching. I am so super excited about today's episode because joining me today is an amazing young lady in Edmonton. Oh my gosh, because I work with her, because you didn't know. Anyway, but she's amazing. That's why I was like, you know what, I need you to come here. So today joining me is Crystal, and Crystal is a blogger, one of my favorite blogs, because she's relatable with everybody, in like every other woman who's been in a relationship or in a marriage or has gone through a whole lot, and you're gonna hear why. So welcome, Crystal.
Thank you, Amanda.
Awesome.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. I am excited to be here, and shout out to, I know who's watching. Guess who? Zara. Zara, Carolee, shout out to you guys. Okay, so I know a lot of people would assume that you're Canadian, of course. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're not African, you don't look African, you don't look Indian, but you look white, right? So, but you and I both know you're from a different heritage. So I usually ask all my guests where they come from, their heritage, and if you could share with the guests. So
yeah, absolutely. So yes, I am Canadian, born and raised. Born in Alberta, raised in BC though, back in Alberta.
The gloomy type of city.
Yeah. Like, it's not so bad. But yeah, my grandmother came from Germany. So she's first generation, right from the war.
Oh,
so she came from World War II. Yeah, she came as a child over.
Okay.
One of those war survivors who never talked about it. She's now not with us anymore, but she never talked about it.
Okay.
So
did you think because of the trauma?
Absolutely,
of
yeah.
course.
There was one story that I heard from my cousins saying that at the age of 4, she remembered saluting Hitler in a worker camp because they grew up just east of Berlin. So I could just imagine, that being their childhood.
Yeah.
How traumatic that could be.
Could it be? Yeah, 4 years. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So then as a young teenager, after the war was over, she moved to Canada with her mother and then found her way in Alberta.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So your parents are the one that ended up moving from Alberta to go to BC.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I also have lots of Indigenous relatives, cousins, first cousins. So I also have that integrated Métis, Cree.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can you speak the
no.
languages? Okay, it's okay. It's all right.
But we do have some. Usually when there's a funeral, we do usually incorporate some of the 3-day wake.
Oh wow.
Ceremonies that they do. So we do incorporate some of that into.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
okay, so Canadian with the different heritage, German incorporated in there, and wow. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I envy you right now. Especially the Indigenous part of it, right? Yeah, I love that. So the name of your blog, okay, by the way, I missed to mention that her blog is called Beauty in Life. And having that name, when I was going through with the name of your blog is self-explanatory. But then what does it mean to you, and why did you come up with that term or that name for the blog?
Coming up with a name for something is not easy.
Not easy at all.
But I was finding that the world seems to be covered in negativity, but there's so much incredible, beautiful things all around us if we just take the opportunity to look at them.
Right.
So that's where I come up with Beauty in Life. It's just
okay.
everything that you look at has some kind of beautiful aspect of it.
And despite what you've been through?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
always.
wow. Okay, that's deep though. Imagine, like yesterday we went for a concert, giving an example, we went to a concert yesterday and this, one of the singers was actually saying how her 2 kids were born with some ailments, right? And then the dad had a stroke and the mom had some sort of cancer, pancreatic cancer, I think. And and she got to a point where she was like, God, why? But then again, had to look at on the brighter side.
Absolutely.
Right? To say there's a reason for everything, but it's difficult for us to look at it that way. So
yeah, the difficult things make us stronger.
Right, yeah.
Which is why, sometimes you have to look at, well, this hard thing happened.
Yeah.
But this also happened out of that. I became stronger, I found my courage, I found my voice, whatever it might be, that there's some beautiful tone to that negativity.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wait and hear more. Oh my gosh. That's why I asked her to come. Yeah. All right. Awesome. So we share a bit of a similar life experience. You and I have spoken quite a bit, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, especially women, and in this day and age with the way women are being woke, and coming out of, abuse and stuff like that. Your experience actually kind of made me feel some sort of, it gave me a healing part, if you didn't know, because it's one of those when you talk to somebody else and you hear somebody went through the same thing, you're like, I'm not the only one, at least somebody else can understand. When you talk to them, it was really amazing. That's why I was like, you know what, we need to sit down, talk about it. I've spoken to other women about abuse though.
Yeah.
Right, but then it's always different. You're hearing somebody else's story, it's totally different, right? So it's not, so abuse is not the easiest topic to really talk about when you opened up to me about it. So the same way it isn't about coming out. So what type of abusive relationship were you in?
So I got involved with a narcissist when I was in high school. So it was in my early teens. And it's funny because we were together for close to a decade. So we were together in high school and high school sweethearts, and everybody thought for sure that we were going to be the couple that was together forever. And so that lasted until even after, a few years after high school was finished.
Okay.
And I never thought that the relationship was abusive at all. It actually took me...
Especially when you start at a young age.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. It just sort of became normal.
Yeah.
And I also, in reflecting, see that I come from a really blended family. So I'm fortunate enough, I have 3 dads. And so my second stepfather who raised me was also quite abusive, which I also never really thought, because you're just a kid. So I kind of feel like I was almost destined to be in an abusive relationship because I hadn't resolved those feelings. So it actually took me quite a few years to realize that I was even in that kind of relationship. At first I kind of saw it as just an unhealthy relationship, kind of toxic, a little bit miserable. And then as time went on,
was it after high school then, or?
Yeah, after we had broken up. Like at first it was just this misery, this depression that I was in, and I wanted out and I couldn't get out. It started off as more psychological abuse. I couldn't possibly live without you. I was so worried because you didn't call me for 5 minutes. I was so upset because you didn't tell me that you loved me when you hung up the phone. I thought for sure this relationship was over, and I felt a lot of guilt. But I felt, like, oh, this is the way I'm supposed to act in a relationship, and that's sort of the way it started. And then it became, well, you should do this to make me happy. It was never, we should do this to make you happy, Crystal, but you should be doing this because to make me happy, because that's your job here. Wow. And it's funny because I think back to it, and I see the way my dad number 2 had raised me, and it was always, you need to serve your men. You need to be a good housewife. You need to,
this is what women are
supposed to do, right? So naturally, I grew up and I think, oh well, that's absolutely. If you're not happy, I should change who I am. So start wearing makeup. Oh, why are you wearing makeup? Is it to?
Oh my God.
Is it because you're trying to find somebody else? Or when I decided to go to school. Yeah. Like post-secondary school. Oh, is it because you want to leave me because you want to go to someplace else and meet other men and leave me behind, which was never really my thought. So that's insecurities, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And then physical abuse started coming in, and never what I would have thought, like in my mind, physical abuse is, you go to the hospital because you fell down the stairs, quote unquote. And so I never really thought of like hair pulling or pinching or biting as sort of a form of abuse. That just was like you know,
we're just fighting, it's normal.
We're just mad at each other, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
And so it became normal. Like I never got like a slap in the face. I never had, you know, bruises on my face.
Which that would have been a clear abuse to you.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't have that, so it wasn't abusive. You know,
Wow.
I'm just not doing a good enough job as a woman to take care of him and to keep him calm, and I can, you know, that's my job. And then sexual abuse stuff started to come in too, that, you know, you should want to do this because this is what I want, you know. And it was like, okay, you're right, I should want to do this, and I should step out of my own comfort zone and do these things that I wasn't comfortable with because that made him happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
As in, it got to a point where it became sexual abuse from somebody who claimed they loved you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And when I reflect on it now, because like I said, it was, you know, it was just we grew up as kids together and like grew into young adults together. That this
and he just didn't get to a point where to understand that
I didn't have an opportunity to
wow.
understand that wasn't, and I kept it really secret. So even if I had friends who would say, you know, he's kind of abusive, I kept everything secret. Everything was butterflies and rainbows and puppies and kittens.
And why though? Why did you try and hide it from your friends?
Because I think that I knew deep down that there was something that I was ashamed that I allowed it to happen. And I didn't want to get anybody else involved. I didn't want anybody else to be worried about me. You know, I didn't want my hurt to affect the other people around me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep and shows how much of a strong personality you are.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so how long after you discovered that this is not healthy, how long did it take you to decide I now want out?
It was actually just after high school.
Okay.
So I graduated 2002. It was probably like 2003 I started to want out of the relationship.
Okay.
And I had made several attempts to leave. The first few attempts would turn into I can't live without you. I'll do anything to change.
Of course.
You know, and then
it makes you feel bad.
Yeah, and then I feel guilty because I want out and he wants to do anything to make this amazing relationship. And would even show, like, he would change, he would shower me with love and gifts and affection, and it would always go back into that same cycle. And then I would just get depressed, and then things would get bad, and then I would want out again, and then he would come up with some kind of thing like, oh, it's just because it's winter. You have the winter blues. You always want to break up when there's winter. Like anything, like just
oh my
stuff.
God.
And I was like, yeah, he must be right. Like I was so mixed up in the years of manipulation that I no longer was true to myself. The little voice that's inside of you is now locked away, gone, hidden from the world.
And two, when you're younger, you don't know yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I even went to drastic measures. I had relations outside of our relationship because I thought, well, he won't want me if I cheated on him. So I purposely cheated on him as a way out, and then he proposed to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She did you.
Yeah,
Oh
and I went for it. Like we were engaged for a little while even. And yeah, it was I was so confused. There was so many emotions that I didn't understand. I thought that I was the problem. It's funny because I don't have any journal writing. I used to write. I used to love writing. Even when I was a kid, I loved writing. And he read a few of my journals, so I stopped writing. I completely suppressed that part of myself. And
was he against it though? When
he was against me keeping secrets.
Oh,
and it was keeping secrets,
God.
even if it was just my own feelings. That was secrets.
Oh
yeah,
my
right.
God.
All of the warning signs. But I did find a couple of small little things that I had written and hidden really well. And even in that, it was, you know, I would write, I'm so unhappy, but I don't know how to make this any better. Like I was writing it even what it was, but I was completely blind to even my own words that I was writing out. So I finally was able to get out of the relationship. I couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't getting out of bed anymore. I got out of bed to go to work. I wasn't eating. I just slept all the time. And finally one day I was like, I can't do this. Like I'm only 21. I can't spend the rest of my life in bed. And I booked a trip to Europe for 3.5 months. And I called him up and I said, I'm going to go to Europe for 3.5 months. And he's like, oh, that'd be so great. We can go together. And I was like, no, I'm
Nope. Like, this is my. You say, I am going. I didn't say, we are going.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going and I leave in 6 weeks. I got the time off of work. I'm gone for this amount of time. I don't want you in my house when I come back. And this relationship is over.
So what gave you the nerve then to say, now this is it? I am going, there's nothing that's going to stop. And that was it, right?
Yeah, that was it.
So what gave you this time you're not going to talk me into anything?
I think I hit my rock bottom. You know, I think we often think about rock bottom being addiction related.
Okay.
And I guess it could. You know, I was addicted to the feelings of this guy. I wanted him to fill up this part of my life that I felt empty and hollow.
Right.
And I got to the point where I just became more and more empty and hollow. I didn't know who I was. And me not wanting to get out of bed. We lived at that time. I was living with my parents. I was living with them in my basement suite. And my dad, number 3, his name is Brian. He's amazing. My ex was so insecure that if I woke up and was getting ready for work with him and we were laughing, that would be a fight. So he was like, you have more fun with him than you have with me. Like that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
And so now it's like trickling into my family. I'm not even allowed to enjoy the time with my family, right? And I just couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, this is never going to get better. Finally, I started to listen to the little voice inside of me. The little voice is like, Kate, you got to get up. You got to deal with this and get out. And so,
you're still young.
Yeah, I'm so young. I thought my life was over. I'm like 21. I'm so old now. Like,
I know. Every time when we reach a certain age, I'm so old. Like, okay.
So then I went to Europe for 3.5 months. He called me all the time. I have to mail my phone home. My sister came in with me for the last 6 weeks.
Okay.
He kept calling her phone all the time. Like, it was relentless. God. And it took, I would say, 1 year to 1.5 years after of me saying, no, you're not coming over to my house. No, we're not hanging out. No, please stop calling me. But it was 1.5 years. But that trip in Europe gave me the courage that I could say no without sort of falling back into those old habits of comfort.
And we need the space too.
Yeah.
The space really allows us to think and decide.
Well, and to see your own greatness too, right?
Yeah.
I think if I hadn't left, I probably would have still been in that relationship, or I might have found myself in another relationship like that. But because I went all on my own, I've never left the country. It gave me that opportunity to be like, wow, I just backpacked around Europe for the last 3.5 months by myself, and I did it, and I survived, and nothing happened.
So I can leave you, right? I can leave you, and I can do anything that I want to be, right? Which is so amazing. So you wrote in one of your pieces entitled "I Am Selfish," right? That I stayed away from those who suspected. We spoke about it a little bit, right? Who suspected something was wrong, believing them to be you believed them to be the real threat.
Yeah.
Right? So what then got you to a realization that you were actually in an abusive relationship?
Yeah, like I said, it took me years after the relationship was over to
it was after.
It was after, yeah. But
you knew you were unhappy, but you didn't know what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought for sure it was something to do with me. Which it kind of was, because I was staying with this person, but not the way I had seen it back then.
Okay.
So I did. I had a little trip with like an uncle and a cousin and a few family members, and it was one of their friends that picked up that the relationship was abusive and brought it up to my uncle, and it was actually my uncle who said, he's like, is everything okay? Because so and so thinks that you're sort of in a bit of an abusive relationship. And that's the first I had ever heard that, and I was like, oh, absolutely not. And I was defending him, and I was like, no, he's so sweet and so nice, and this is just not his. And suddenly I'm making all these millions of excuses.
The things that we do, girls, for these guys. Well, then again, there are also women who are abusive, but
absolutely, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So even it took me until. When I wrote that was just this last year. Yeah. And it took me until just this last year to be like, oh, wow, there was lots of people who were trying to warn me, and I'm only just now, 20 years later.
It takes time. It takes time. It really takes time. And for you to even, the last time I was talking to you, that you said you couldn't talk about it for a very long time, right? So what made you say, this is it, I am just going to step out and talk about it, right? And put it to the public, because that's your personal space right there, and letting the whole world know about it.
Yeah, so what it was is when I first moved to Edmonton, so now it's almost 4 years, I started to have dreams about him. He would just come into my dreams, and it was always the same. He was trying to control
horror dream, not horror movie.
He's trying to control my relationship with my husband. He's trying to like tell me what to do. And these dreams just kept happening over and over and over again. And I never talked about them. I kept them to myself, and I was like, it'll go away, but then they weren't. They were just getting more vivid, more real. And one day I remember I was putting my shoes on, and I looked up at Cam, and I was like, I've been having these dreams about my ex, and I told him, and then the dreams went away. And I had decided at that, just randomly sitting on the floor one day, that I was going to write a book about it. And so I'm going to write a book about it. I talked to him about it a little bit, and then I ignored it for a while. I didn't write about it. I didn't talk about it anymore. 6 months later, a year later, the dreams started coming back again. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I probably need to do something about this. So when I wrote that piece, I actually wanted to write something else, and I couldn't do it. The words wouldn't come. It wasn't natural. And when I sat down and I started writing that, it just flooded out. It was like, okay, I get you.
I get it.
This is what we need to write about.
And at the right time too.
Yeah.
Things happen at the right time, right? And right now it's been like years. Now it's just coming to you.
Yeah.
It's coming.
I was ready. I was at a point where I felt strong enough that I could face those demons that were inside.
Right. Oh wow, that is so amazing, and I'm really proud of you. The fact that you're out there, and 2 other girls or women who are in abusive marriages. Guys, there are lots of signs you're probably seeing, but then again, know that you are stronger than whatever it is that you're being told you can do, right? Because they tell us, oh, you know you can't do without me. Absolutely. That's one of the first things, right?
That's a huge topic.
Can't do without me. Yeah. Without me, you'll be nothing. With stuff like that. Of which, try it. Just get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right. Get out of the comfort zone.
That's really what it is. Just step over that threshold. Step out of your comfort zone. Yeah, it's gonna feel unfamiliar and scary.
Yeah.
But you are worth it.
It is.
There's always someone, something, anything that's better than that.
That's actually waiting for you.
Yeah.
To just say,
absolutely.
Okay, so what were you doing? It will just wait for you saying that. I was just sitting here looking at you, miserable and struggling. Wow, this is so funny. Not really funny. But you're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. So another thing that I noted, you wrote that our strong wills would collide into a whirlwind of raging. I think if I read well, I'll check it again. But the words I threw were twisted into weapons and thrown back at me until I accepted that he was right and understanding I was being selfish. It immediately reminded me of my past, right? Like as in me, I was like, okay, yeah, I've been there. But then so does it mean clearly, I know you may not be an expert at it, but then do you think it means that strong-willed people can never be at all? Or
no, I think strong-willed people can be together, but I think it depends on both people, what insecurities do they have, where did their pasts come from? And I think if you have 2 strong-willed people together, it's communication, that you have that communication.
Okay, and that's understanding the other person's strength.
Absolutely, you're trying to listen to where they're coming from, and you both can be strong-willed together and
together, and then just lifting, because obviously we have down moments too, right? So one has to because sometimes when you spoke about when I went through it, I was like, well, that reminds me of my abusive relationship, because the person was strong-willed too, right? It was 2 strong-willed people, but then I ended up being the quiet one in the relationship, as much as a lot of people don't even believe that I was the quiet one. But yeah, ended up being the quiet one in the relationship, but that suppressed who I was. Like you're saying, you couldn't write anymore, but that's who you are, right? And suppressing that is a no-no.
Absolutely.
That will actually kick you to say, you know what, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Right?
It takes you away from your authentic self.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the more you suppress who you are, whether that's, your sexual orientation, or I like to dress up like the other gender, or I really like, I wrote a blog recently about my love for cats and unicorns, and I have a
nice
necklace on today.
Oh, lovely.
And when I grew up, those were things that I became ashamed of because other kids thought that they were childish, that you don't like kittens because dogs are way better, and unicorns are totally lame. It was back in the early or late 90s when unicorns weren't cool, not like now where unicorns are everywhere. And so I was really embarrassed that I loved these things. I mean, I had a bedroom set that was purple, sheets, curtains, bed skirt, all unicorns. It was amazing. I loved it. And you suppress those little parts of you, and that's essentially taking this and throwing it out. This is who I am, and we're going to forget that that's who we are.
And I'm going to live for somebody else.
Absolutely. So then it makes it easy for people who are really insecure and have those abusive tendencies to come in because they see that you're vulnerable and you're not being authentic to yourself because you ignore who you are because of other voices. Absolutely.
Damn! You heard that? Be you, love you. And besides, you have to love you first for you to be able to know this is a no-no.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if you don't love yourself, somebody will just come and tell you who you are.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's a skill that we don't teach people at all.
Yeah.
You don't go to school and learn emotional intelligence and self-love and self-esteem, right? And I think that's, for me, that was the first step, was realizing that I completely lacked self-love.
A lot of people, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
Girls, is because we're not taught that you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And considering the fact that your second dad was totally the same as the guy, right? And then you're thinking, okay, it's normal, right? And then think of other girls who grew up without dads too, right? Because there's lots of single parents and stuff like that, and then they don't know what a father's love is, little, so that's a man's love. So you wouldn't know. Oh wow, that's deep, guys. But we'll be right. We're back. So, what made you stay in what you kind of knew was an unhealthy relationship? Just the
I think because I was scared.
Okay.
I didn't think anybody else could love me. I actually thought I was completely unlovable. I didn't think that people would find me attractive to even want
especially if
to
somebody's
with
telling
me.
you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I thought that I could make things better. I thought it was my job to sort of help make him a better person, forgetting about me being a better person. It was always the goal. I was so conditioned to make him better. So I was, fear. It was really a big one.
Big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fear. I think, which is actually getting worse now because a lot of people are living in fear.
Yeah, and I've actually learned, because I've been really playing with fear quite a bit lately. I mean, not like skydiving or jumping.
But I'm planning on going skydiving. I'm going skydiving. It's not crazy though, for a little bit.
Makes me scared. My husband's trying to get me to go.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we should.
Because I'm thinking, because everybody, even like people are like, Amanda, are you now? Look at this. People are like, are you a white person? I'm like, why would you say that? Right? Because I love dairy stuff. Okay, so find your coconut. I'm like, you know what I mean? But then it's just one of those people are crazy.
Different,
yeah,
right?
just different. We should try it. But anyway, so what type of fear are you
So
dealing with?
yeah, so just like the fear, like writing that piece.
Yeah.
That was a huge amount of fear. I was afraid of what kind of emotions were going to come up. What was I going to have to face? And the harder than writing that piece, because that was still just among me, was the first time I read it out loud to my husband. And I just broke down and I started crying. I was like, I can't let him know. He's gonna feel bad that I was like this, and you know, like he's gonna think of me different, whatever it was. And when I finally was just like, no, you're just gonna do it. You're already committed, and it was nothing. It was just unconditional love. So I really feel that fear is more of a guide to love. You just have to learn how to step over that curb and face it, and then be like, oh, hey fear, what's up? And then you can move past it. New curtains and new opportunities open. Fear is just what your mind plays on.
And some people say fear is false evidence appearing real.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I totally
That's
believe
crazy. Oh, okay. So after coming out of it, right, what were your feelings towards men in general? Right? To say that obviously you had a bit of bitterness, resentment, and stuff like that. But what did you feel personally to say, okay, should I paint them with the same brush?
No, actually,
or
I didn't.
How did you do it?
It was funny because there was a young man that I used to work with, and while I was in Europe, we started to reconnect. Just the power of the internet.
Oh yeah.
And I knew when we worked together when we were, I think we were 18, 19, I knew that he was my Prince Charming, and I was one day going to meet him, and we were going to be happily ever after, and he is now my husband. So,
just like that.
Well, I mean, it was like years of, figuring it out and stuff, but but even then when I was in Europe, like I would go out with guys, like I never really had a bad sense of guys, and that was probably also my naiveness that I was even in an abusive relationship. I really held it that it was just this relationship wasn't working, but I didn't paint all men as bad. Wow. Because I knew so many incredible men throughout my life that...
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. So if anybody, I felt the opposite for you.
I think that's common.
Yeah, like it was one of those, I hated men. It was one of those, they're the same. And forgetting my dad was awesome. You know what I mean? But then again, you forget that when you're in the moment, right? You forget there are actually better men out there. But then you're like, everybody's the same. But then again, for you to even meet the same people is because you're attracting that. Your mind. But once you let go,
absolutely,
everything becomes different.
And sometimes I think that's just your own anger too, right? Like you sort of, I'm angry at men because of this part of my life. So and once you get over that anger, you're like, okay, maybe I was being a little bit harsh.
Extra. I was just being extra. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is so true. So, what did you learn from the type of relationship moving forward? Which is funny that you ended up, you're with your husband. Good enough. Thank you. Hallelujah. Right? But what things did you learn from that relationship?
I learned that I'm extremely resilient and courageous. That, like when I talked about like our strong wills, I fought for myself every step of the way. I mean, I always lost the battle, but I always tried to, every time we got into another fight, I would pull all of the courage that I had. I found the courage to leave the relationship, which was huge. So I think those were the two really big things for me, was courage and resilience. Yeah, and then slowly as I started to heal, I thought, wow, you've got a lot of really great things. People like you. You're not unlovable like you thought. I started. It didn't take me long at all to create a whole network of friends. Yeah. So.
Wow, that's great. So guys, learn from your mistakes. Yeah. That's where we're going at. Learn from your mistakes and then learn what not to do.
And don't be resentful, because for a long time I was really resentful.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. That I had stayed that long. Yeah.
So I had
wasted my, absolutely. That I had wasted is, time. Which is not, that I wasted time, that I wasted my entire childhood, that, people talk about enjoying their high school life, and I didn't enjoy it because I was, always being criticized or whatever. But I've actually learned to be a little bit softer with that now. I no longer resent it, and I kind of see it as, what if I didn't have that experience? Where would I be now?
Right.
You know, like maybe I would be just an awful person. Maybe that has made me a softer, kinder, gentler, more loving person in the long run. So so learn from your mistakes.
And grow from them.
Absolutely. And don't hold on to them. I mean, that's yesterday's news.
Right.
5 years ago's news, whatever.
And then now we're writing books, and now we're blogging about it, which is so super amazing. So what are the 3 signs to all the ladies out there who are afraid or to get out, who are not courageous? What are the 3 things to look out for to show that one may be in an abusive relationship? Maybe some people cannot even see it.
Yeah, I think for me, at least from my experience, was the things that I wasn't allowed.
Okay.
So like you think
the
about
stuff that you loved,
the stuff that I loved, and like simple things for me.
Okay.
Is mustard. I love mustard. When I was a really little kid, and my mom's like, "No, you're making your own lunches now." Yeah. It was it was gross. It was bread, and then like thick piece of like mustard,
like another
peanut
layer
butter
of
almost, but it was like mustard and then one piece of meat, and then some more thick mustard, and then bread. God. And those are my favorite sandwiches for lunch.
And so with him was,
and he didn't like mustard, so I wasn't allowed to have mustard.
Holy!
Yeah.
And now that you don't like peanut butter, he would have said, "Oh yeah, you need to eat peanut butter."
You need to eat peanut butter, absolutely. Yeah, you need to, because I like this. You need to like this.
Hallelujah! Guys, now this one's extreme. Okay.
Yeah, so the things that you're not allowed, I think, is a really big thing. Yeah. Other things too, and I found it like reflecting on it. It's subtle. So he always made me feel like I was fat or I was gonna get fat, and I should be super fit for him. So he would eat in front of me something delicious, a giant bowl of ice cream. Ice cream is my weakness. And he would eat a giant bowl in front of me, and he'd be like, "You're not allowed."
What?
I want to go to this party. You're not allowed. Right? And it was like these things that I'm not allowed.
What?
Yeah. So I think
sign number 2, guys. Yeah. Like, look at that. That's controlling.
Absolutely controlling. Yeah. So the things that you're not allowed. Criticism. You know, like I would try really hard to make myself look nice. He says I'm not looking nice enough for him. I'm gonna make myself look nice. I'm gonna get dressed up. I'm gonna put makeup on. We're gonna go out. It's gonna be so great. And then it was like, well, who are you trying to look good for?
Oh my god.
And it was like, well, idiot, I'm trying to look good for you.
You. I like that, right? Exactly. Like, how dumb can you get? Yeah. Oh yeah, that reminds me of my one. Yeah. My one was like, why is that guy looking at you? Why are they staring at you? I'm like, aren't you supposed to be proud to say I have a very gorgeous girlfriend? Yeah. Like, the least you can do is that. And then now you're trying to look good for him, and you ask, what are you trying to look good for? Like, what else am I with?
Yeah.
Wow.
That or, because I carry a lot of my weight on my lower body. Okay. So it would be a lot of like pinching the fat on my butt, on my hips. You need to work out. Then I would go work out.
Oh my god.
I would go work out, and it's like, well, who are you trying to look good for? And it was like, I don't even know what to do.
Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. So then I think that segues into 3. It's, I mean, if you start to get confused about your emotions and what he wants versus what he doesn't want, which are sometimes conflicting, then I think that's a warning sign. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. That's so guys, if you can hear that, or if you've seen that happening to somebody, it may not be you, or maybe somebody who you're close related to, be it a friend, be it a sister, or anybody that you're friends with, close with, or even distant, try and find somebody who can talk to them. You know,
I think if you're the outsider too, and you
difficult.
You see somebody starting to change, they're starting to become more reserved, and they're not talking about it because they're ashamed, they're scared to talk about it, they're scared nobody will believe them.
And not even just that, sometimes you know how they're always, now people are on social media showing their relationships and stuff like that, right? And then now when things are going south, it's difficult for them to come and tell,
on social media I make everything look
good,
beautiful and amazing.
Yeah.
But really at home it's dark and miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's easy as people who love people to sort of overlook that. But those are warning signs when people overshow how great their relationship is. But their body language is saying
it says a lot. Yeah. It says a lot. Oh wow. But on a lighter note, you didn't know something was coming.
Oh.
This is like so off the script, so off this, but right, awesome. So now this is random. I have random questions in here. You're gonna have to pick three. So it's either you finish a statement, what you think, it's according to you, right? It's not according to the world, to the dictionary, to Google or Bing, right?
So the world according to Crystal.
The world according to Crystal, right? So you have to pick three questions from here. But these ones are open, so I'm going to take them out, unfortunately. All right.
Probably the best ones.
maybe you might find something that's crazy, but just go with it. There's only one thing that's crazy.
The question?
You read the question, you finish it. I don't know if it's a statement or a question. Go ahead with it.
So I believe in, unicorns, obviously.
And there we go.
But I actually believe in, I believe that everybody can. You know, everybody has the potential to be amazing and great and wonderful. Yeah. And that you just need to be surrounded by love and people who are going to encourage you and inspire you to be all that you can.
All that you can.
Yeah.
And also, you're one you. You're one Crystal. Mm-hmm. There's one Amanda.
Yeah. And
you can do whatever Crystal is doing, I can do it, but it can never be the same in a way.
Absolutely.
There will be a difference.
Because you're going to have your flair and I'm going to have my own flair.
Exactly.
And they're both right and they're both amazing.
Yeah. So you can. That's what she believes in. All right. Number 2. Let's see. Okay, pick now.
Oh, okay. I fart in public or private.
Okay, now that's the one crazy one. Just the one. Okay, yeah.
So this one is funny. So I have a friend, Tiffany. So here's a shout out to Tiffany. And she's actually said, she's like, you never fart.
You never fart, so you're not human.
Yeah, so I fart in private.
There we go.
It was something that I was conditioned from a childhood that you don't do it at the kitchen table.
Right.
I don't do it in public, and I don't find fart jokes funny.
Thank you. Okay, we share the same sentiments because I've actually met some people like, oh no, because it's a human, like you're human, so you're supposed to just let it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, my guy, no, you don't just let it out. That's rude.
I think it's cute when little kids do it and they're kind of surprised by it, but that's because little kids and they're just experiencing the world.
Right, and then you teach them better. But yeah, oh my gosh, that's funny. The one last one.
I got one. Okay.
You got the crazy one, so that's done.
Okay, the most embarrassing moment of my life was when? Oh man, I've had so many embarrassing things.
And sometimes you can't even point out one right away. But the first one that comes to mind.
So my 19th party, and this is actually something that my ex had put on for me. It was really nice of him.
Yeah.
So he had thrown me so being in BC, you have to be 19 to drink.
Oh,
and
yes,
he threw me a surprise 19th birthday party.
Uh-huh.
I knew almost nobody there, but it was still fun. It was in a garage.
Yeah.
And I maybe had a bit too much to drink, and there was a live band. And one of my favorite songs growing up was When I Come Around by Green Day. Because I used to listen to country music, and it was the song that got me away from being a country bumpkin.
Oh!
Yeah, so I started to listen to pop punk was what my changing from country music.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge difference though.
19, it was very windy, if that tells you how many drinks I had, and it was inside. And I decided that I was going to get up and I was going to sing When I Come Around in front of like this hundreds of people that were at this party.
Yeah.
And I got up and I sang like the first 3 lines, and I could hear my voice in the microphone, and I put it down and I walked off the stage. I was like, no.
Okay, in other words, like, drop mic, right?
Yeah, I was dropping mic.
Drop mic, no, can do.
No amount of drinking can get me through singing.
Are you serious? Oh my, so you could actually hear it when you were drunk?
Yeah.
Or did you think about it afterwards?
No, I could hear it while I was drunk. I was like, not quite drunk enough.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. It was lovely to have you here and to talk about I Am Selfish, what you've been through, and and looking forward to the upcoming book. But we're not gonna say when, but definitely you're gonna see her back. So this means you're guaranteed you're gonna see her back because I'm gonna have to read that book and we're gonna have to talk about it. So I look forward to that one, and I look forward to a whole lot of different things in terms of blogging. And we never know where we might see you because blogging is actually taking a whole lot of people around the world, right? So we look forward to that. And thank you so much for coming.
It was an honor.
And to the viewers, thank you so much for watching. Keep watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button somewhere here. I don't know where the screen is, but maybe there. But hit the subscribe button right here. And if somebody's going through abuse, and if you can help, you've heard some of the tips here, what Crystal has gone through, and the bit of what I've shared that I've gone through too. Just try and help, find a way. If you cannot say anything, be somebody who will be able to listen, because another thing is somebody can just say it out, hear it from their own voice for themselves, and it could be a wake-up call for them. Just listening instead of criticizing. Spread the love as usual. And remember, little girls with dreams become women of vision. Take care and God bless you. Bye.